Check your phone, payday. But 2 days later, your account is already gasping for air. Sound familiar? Here is the truth that hurts. A salary was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you coming back. You do not have a spending problem, you have an ownership problem. But today, that changes. These are 5 assets that actually build wealth. And number 3, it is going to make you furious that nobody explained this sooner. Think about your last paycheck. You traded 160 hours of your life for it. You showed up early, you stayed late. You smiled through meetings that could have been emails. And in return, you got a fixed number dropped into your account. That number pays your rent. It feeds your family. It keeps the lights on. But it never grows. It never multiplies. It just arrives, and then it leaves. That is because a salary is a trade, not a tool. You are swapping your time for someone else's money. The second you stop swapping, the money stops coming. There is no mystery here. If you work, you eat. If you rest, you worry. That is not wealth. That is a hamster wheel. And every time you get a raise, the wheel spins faster. You earn more. You spend more. You upgrade your car. You move to a bigger place. Now you need the job even more than before. That is not a win. That is a fancier trap. Wealth is not a bigger paycheck. Wealth is a machine that pays you whether you show up or not. Wealthy people are not smarter than you. They are not always harder working. They simply figured out something early. They stopped trying to earn their way to freedom. They started buying their way there. An asset is simple. It is something that puts money into your pocket while you sleep, eat, or take a day off. Your job puts money in your pocket when you obey an alarm clock. See the difference? One owns you. The other, you own. The goal is not to quit working tomorrow. The goal is to make your paycheck optional. The only way to do that is to turn your extra cash into soldiers that work for you around the clock. The first asset is boring, and that is exactly why it works. It is called an index fund. Instead of trying to pick the next big stock and gambling your future, you buy a tiny slice of hundreds of strong companies all at once. You own a piece of the giants, the tech companies, the banks, the brands you use every single day. When they profit, you profit. When they grow, you grow. You do not need to be a genius. You do not need to watch the news every hour. You buy it. You keep buying it. You let time do the heavy lifting. History shows that over long periods, these funds have turned ordinary people with ordinary jobs into millionaires. Not because they got lucky, because they were consistent. Because they understood that slow and real beats fast and fake every single time. The second asset is a house, but not the house you live in. The house you live in costs you money every month. It is a roof over your head, not a wealth builder. The asset is a rental property, a place where someone else sleeps, cooks, and lives while they pay you for the privilege. Here is the math in plain English. A tenant pays you rent every month. That rent covers the mortgage, the taxes, and the upkeep. Whatever is left over goes into your pocket. Over the years, the mortgage gets smaller. The property usually becomes worth more. One day, you own a valuable building that someone else paid for. It is not easy. It takes research. It takes patience. But it is one of the most proven ways to build lasting wealth. It is real. It is physical, and it works. Now comes the one that should make you angry. The third asset is digital property, a course, an ebook, a template. A video that teaches something useful, a piece of software. Something you create once and then sell forever. In school, you were taught to memorize facts and obey bells. Nobody taught you that you could record a 45-minute lesson on something you're good at, put it online for $20, and wake up to sales from strangers in London, Toronto, and Sydney. Nobody taught you that a simple spreadsheet you designed could pay your phone bill every month. That is not fantasy. It is reality. And the only reason most people do not do it is because they still believe they need permission. They do not. They need a phone, a skill, and the courage to hit publish. This is the asset with the lowest startup cost and the highest possible return. And it is sitting right in front of you. The fourth asset is like owning a fruit tree that never stops growing. These are called dividend stocks. They are shares in solid, established companies that pay you cash every few months just for owning a slice of them. You do not sell the tree, you just pick the fruit. That cash hits your account like a tiny paycheck. But this paycheck does not require your time. It does not require your stress. It simply arrives because you had the wisdom to plant the tree. Here is where it gets powerful. If you take that cash and buy more trees, you get more fruit. Then you buy even more trees. Over 10 or 20 years, a small forest becomes a massive orchard. That is compounding. And compounding is how people with average incomes build above-average lives. It is quiet, it is invisible, and it is beautiful. The fifth asset is the one that replaces the salary completely. It is a small business that runs like a machine. Not a job you invented for yourself where you are the busiest employee. A real system. A laundromat, a storage facility, a delivery route. An online store that ships without you touching the box. A service business with a manager who handles the daily headaches. You own the map. Other people drive the route, you collect what is left after expenses. This is the difference between self-employment and business ownership. One buys you a job, the other buys you freedom. It takes the longest to build, it requires the most learning, but it is the asset that finally says to your boss, "You do not need this anymore." And that moment is priceless. So why do you not own these yet? Because the world is very good at keeping you distracted. The new phone, the finance car, the apartment that eats half your income, the drinks that prove you're doing okay. All of it is designed to keep you spinning on that wheel, and it is not your fault. Billions of dollars are spent every year to make sure you feel like spending is the same as winning. But here's the secret that wealthy people know. Looking rich and being rich are opposites. The flashy watch and the leased sports car are chains. The quiet brokerage account and the small rental house are wings. You cannot buy both at the same time. Not at the start, you have to choose. You can look successful to strangers, or you can actually be free. Those are two different games, and today you are choosing the second one. You do not need to master all 5 assets this week. You need to pick one, open one account, buy one fund, list one digital product, walk through one rental property. Make one decision that your future self will thank you for. You do not need $50,000 to start. You need $100 and a new belief. The belief that your money can work harder than your hands. The belief that your salary is a starting line, not a finish line. The belief that you're allowed to own things, that you're allowed to build quiet wealth, that you are allowed to be free. Nobody is coming to save you. No raise is coming to fix this. But you're already enough. You are already smart enough. You are already capable. So start small. Start today. Start now. Because the cage only stays locked if you keep refusing the key.